the legal process and what that looks like as a surrogate. So I don't have a lot of knowledge as far as like the behind the scenes on what happens with the legal documentation part of the surrogacy journey. All you really need to know, I guess, because everything else is taken care of, is that you're going to get an email from a gestational reproductive attorney who is going to be representing you in your own state. And that's all taken care of by the agency. So you don't have to worry about anything out of pocket. Really anything at all during your surrogacy, you don't have to take care of out of pocket. So they give you a couple of attorneys that they have worked with in your area, or that they, have researched and found to be pretty close. So I was matched with an attorney in St. Louis. So I live in Fulton, Missouri, which is a very small town. It's not a very big area. And so St. Louis and Kansas City would be the next big cities. So St. Louis is where my attorney was out of. So they contacted me. They made sure that I was aware that they were going to be representing me and that we would eventually have a Zoom call to kind of go over everything. So in your first surrogacy, if you're a first-time surrogate, you need to go over everything. You need to have them explain anything that may not be super clear to you. You want everything to be crystal clear because you don't want to be leaving anything up to interpretation, because this is something that you need to know what everything outlines and what everything means. Now, I'm lucky because this is my second journey, so I didn't need to go over every small little detail. The only things that we really talked about were the things that we wanted to change, and that wasn't very much, and it wasn't that we changed very much of it by much anyways. So your surrogacy document, your legal document, is going to cover everything. Everything from where you're delivering, pumping milk, who gets the baby in case your intended parents split up, who gets the baby in case your intended parents pass away before everything is said and done. Basically, it's just an outline of every possible scenario that could happen. It tells you exactly how much you're gonna get if you lose any of your reproductive organs. It tells you exactly how much you're gonna get for your monthly allowance, and also for your base compensation after that pregnancy has been confirmed. So everything is outlined. Every situation, every scenario is outlined. All the money situation is outlined. It also talks about your limitations. So with traveling and stuff, most agencies put in there that after you reach 24 weeks, you are not permitted to travel anywhere outside of your state. So that is something that you need to make sure you go over. And if you're traveling for, to visit family or anything like that, you want to make sure that you are able to adjust that as needed. Basically, with my attorney, she was very, very honest. And she said, I know that you have gone through this before, so you know that all of this stuff is in here and you can read it at your leisure. However, the only two things that are going to breach your contract is if you drop the baby off, if you have the baby across the state lines and you're not in Missouri when the baby is born, or you get pregnant with your own baby. She said, don't do those two things and you'll be fine. So that's kind of my golden rule right now. Don't have a baby of my own. Don't have a baby over state lines. So it was kind of funny because she was very lax. She was very, informal in a way, but not in a way that makes her unprofessional, in a way that makes her relatable. So everything in your document, in your agreement, you will sign off on, you will say, yes, this is what I want to do. And then if there are changes that you've made, then the attorney will send them back to your intended parent's attorney. They'll go over everything. They'll either yay or nay it. And then if they yay it, then they sign it, and then you get a signed copy of it, and then everything is pretty much done at that point. I did have to mail mine off, the physical copy, to it might have been the intended parents agency or attorney. It might have been them that I had to send it to. I don't remember exactly who I had to send it to. I just know that they sent me clear instructions of everything I needed to do, everything I needed to scan, everything I needed to sign, and everything that needed to be sent somewhere. So that was really nice. There was no question about what I needed to do with any of it. And then after that, your agency messages you, emails you, reaches out in some way and says, hey, you've reached legal clearance, we're moving on to the next phase, or hey, we're looking at everything, your IPs are looking at everything, we'll be in touch with you in a few days. So it went pretty quick for me this last time. I would say probably a total of maybe 3 weeks. My first journey, it was 4 to 6. So it can take quite a while to get that legal clearance status. But once you do, that means that you're one step closer to starting your med cycle, getting an embryo transfer date, all of the things. So once legal is out of the way, medical clearance is out of the way, everything else starts kind of rolling right along. So just hang in there. I know it's a long process. I know it feels like it's taking forever, but the juice is worth the squeeze, I promise.